name today. Let us help celebrate your birthday. Thank you, John. Our call for introspection today and our Pledge of Allegiance is from J.C. Taylor. And here he comes, slowly, surely. I even made sure he knew. There.
Thank you, Madam President. Good afternoon to all of you. It's a great day to be a Kiwanian, isn't it? As you know, this is the new year, in case you all didn't know. So we're going to talk about the new year. As we look toward the horizon of the coming year, the focus shifts from what has been to what might be. This is the space where intention replaces expectation. Rather than burden ourselves with rigid goals, we might instead consider the qualities of character to which we cultivate. The annual reinvention ritual, as the calendar flips to January, I find myself standing at the precise of a new me, which upon closer inspection looks suspiciously like the old me, but with a slightly more expensive gym membership. Speaking of gym, I went into my gym yesterday. I said, what in the world is going on? I hadn't seen this many people since last January. This room is full too. It's January. It's something about January, isn't it? We treat the new year like a cosmic undo button, as if the mirror act of Earth completing another lap around a giant ball of fire would suddenly grant us the discipline to stop strolling through the social media at 2 a.m. in the morning. In this moment of introspection, I realized that my resolutions are less of a roadmap and more of a creative writing exercise. I vow to be organized. Yet I spent 20 minutes this morning looking for my glasses that were on top of my head. Perhaps the true wisdom of the new year isn't in becoming a completely different person, but in accepting that the old me wasn't actually that bad. Just a bit tired and prone to buying things that I don't need. This year, I'm aiming for slightly improved, which is much more sustainable than miraculously transformed. After all, if I actually achieve all my goals by February, what would I have to feel guilty about the rest of the year? Here's to another year. Bless you all. Happy New Year. Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which is free, one nation under God, indivisible, liberty, justice. All right.
Good job, JC. We all need new things starting in January. Well, at least think about them anyway. Now, would Pegram Johnson come to introduce our guest?
Good afternoon. We have 16 guests with us today. So when I call your name, please stand up with your Kiwanis host. Starting with Judith Bowman and Victor Banks, who are guests of new member Ollie Howie. There you go. Okay. Joe Clark and Susan Clark, who are guests of Reef Kessler. JJ Harper and Jeff Schweiger are with the Action Club. They're back here in the back. Suzanne Cresswell and Matt Shields are guests of Larry Kufel. They're with Mill Mountain Theater. Blair Hoke and Alan Lawrence are with the Salem Ridgeacs, and they're guests of Don Wilson over here. Matilda Bradshaw is right in the front. She's a guest of John, as you know. Clark Goodman is here on a lieutenant governor visit. And where is Clark? Oh, here's Clark over here. Robbie Hairston is here also with the Action Club, and Robbie's back here in the back. Elise Deerstein is here with her grandmother. Elise, our last year's top scholarship winner, is back with her grandmother, Linda Jensen, who's going to be a new member. Jacqueline Nunziato with Huddle Up Moms is a guest. She's back here, Lois James. And Jackie Harrington is the wife of George Harrington, who is going to be another new member in our club. So welcome all.
Now I'd like to ask Don Wilson if he would come to introduce our new members. I said to Don, have you ever known that we have 5? Have you ever known us to do that at one time? And Don goes, oh, yeah, when I was here, we did 7 at one time. So anyway, I'm happy I have 5.
It's okay, Jonas.
I want to win.
No, you're competitive. No, there were 7 members when I joined the club in 1991 that were inducted that day. It was the first meeting of the year. Lee Osborne was president. Mike Hamler was in the group, Jerry Nichols, and 4 others that I don't recall, but aren't in the club anymore, just me. One of the nicest things we can do as Kiwanians is to invite a friend, a coworker, a neighbor, a business associate, or someone that looks like they just need a lunch, because that's sharing the K, and that's what we do as Kiwanians, sharing the K. And speaking of lunch, one of the activities you can do as a Kiwanian is to deliver Meals on Wheels. I delivered Meals on Wheels this morning. I had 6 people on my route. It took about 40 minutes because I washed my car in between because I had so much time. But if any of you would like to start delivering Meals on Wheels, I'm more than happy to take you out on the route in Southeast Vinton. It's an easy lift. You can do it one time a month. You can do it every day. But if you're interested in Meals on Wheels, it's a great program that this club supports. I'd be happy to introduce you and show you the rope. Well, I mentioned sharing the K, and we're indebted to 5 Kiwanians who have shared the K with someone and have asked them to join the club. So I'm going to ask these folks to please come forward and line up front. Jim Graves is being sponsored by Jeff Vick. George Harrington is sponsored by Bert Boyd. Tony Hodges Linda Jensen by Andre Brooks. If y'all would please come forward and gather in close so I can pass the mic around, okay? Andre, would you introduce Linda to us, please?
Thank you. I'm very proud to introduce my new friend, Linda Jensen. She is from the great state of North Dakota. And how do I know it's so great? Because my husband is from North Dakota. So we have that in common. I spent some time there visiting and nearly froze to death. She and I have something else in common. She was in human resources, a manager, and she also was a trainer. And I was at one time too as well. So we have that in common. And she came to Roanoke in 2020. Why? To be with her daughter, Heidi, and her granddaughter, Elise. And I want to tell you, Elise is really her sponsor, not me. Because Elise won a scholarship and she came to visit. And I asked if her mother was interested in joining. She said no, but my grandmother would be really good. And she is. But she has an amazing granddaughter who won our top scholarship. She's at Christopher Newport now and doing really well. So, welcome to Linda and our next guest. 5 years from now, she'll be a Kiwanian.
Bill, who is Ollie?
Thank you, Past President Don. Ollie Howie is a proud graduate of William Ruffner Middle School and the 2013 valedictorian of William Fleming High School, the year in which he received both academic and scholarships from our academic and CTE scholarships from our club, 2013. He founded the My Brothers Keepers Club in 2001, an initiative later recognized by President Barack Obama. His contributions to the community were further honored when the city of Roanoke proclaimed May 31, 2013, his high school graduation day as Ollie Howie Day. Ollie earned a Bachelor of Arts in Economics at Harvard University. During his time at Harvard, he interned with leading global financial institutions, including Goldman Sachs and J.P. Morgan, and he spent a summer studying abroad in Rome, Italy. After graduation, Ollie began his career in both public and private venture capital, gaining experience in early stage investing and entrepreneurship. He later founded Mount Auburn Venture Partners, a firm dedicated to incubating and investing in innovative software businesses. His ventures have received backing from respected organizations such as the HBCU Foundation, Jumpstart Ventures, the Robin Hood Foundation, and several other philanthropic and investment partners. Governor Gretchen Whitmer appointed him to the Growing Michigan Together Council, where he contributes to statewide economic strategy. He also serves on the Economic Development Board for the city of Roanoke, working to foster growth and opportunity here in his hometown. Beyond his professional pursuits, Ollie remains deeply committed to mentorship, education, and community development. He is passionate about creating pathways for young people, especially those from underrepresented backgrounds, to succeed in business, technology, and finance. His work exemplifies the Kiwanis values of leadership, service, and dedication to improving the lives of children and communities everywhere.
I said, who is Ollie? I know now. Thank you. A who's who. Greg, introduce Tony.
As I think you all have already met, but Tony Hodges comes to us with the Salvation Army. And as you know, there's been a long and deep relationship between this club and that organization. So Tony and his wife Shantae come to us from Danville. Was their most recent posting. And if you all know anything, you know there was real need in Danville, and there's real need here in Roanoke. And so Tony and his wife are here to help make a real difference. They're young, they're inspired, they're passionate. We've been doing some work, not to go too far, but we've been doing some work on the facility at the Salvation Army to get it where it needs to be. So we're real excited about what 2026 holds for the Salvation Army, particularly for Tony. Tony is a son of the Salvation Army, as it were. He was raised by the church and raised in Hampton, Virginia, in some tough circumstances. So he himself is a product of what the Salvation Army is out there doing for kids and other people around every day around the world. I've been inspired by his leadership, by his energy, and I'm really excited to have him be a part of our club where he can get to know all of you better. And again, we can continue to develop and build the relationship between these two organizations that are out there trying to make a difference. You know, when I look at Roanoke and when I see what's going on, I think the Kiwanis Club is one of the greatest forces of good. And the Salvation Army is one of those arms, right, that's out there, you know, doing that work that the good is supporting. So thrilled to have this connection deeper and thrilled to have Tony in the club. Welcome.
Thank you very much. So with me today is Jim Graves. Jim is new to Roanoke, just like I am, and I ran into him at my church, Unitarian Universalist Church. And for those of you who aren't aware of the mission of Unitarian Universalism, It has to do with things that are very similar to what the Kiwanis Club does. So we tend to recognize each other as fellow travelers in trying to make the world and the community a better place for everybody, especially for the most vulnerable members of our society. In any case, Jim comes to us out following a career with the Department of Defense and has relocated here to the mountains from Charlottesville, looking for a slightly slower pace of life. And he is deeply involved with the YMCA of Gainsborough, and volunteers his time. I think we can look forward to his active participation. Like I said, fellow traveler, similar background, similar concerns about helping our communities, and I think he's going to be a terrific member. Welcome.
I'd like to introduce you to George Harrington. There's a thread running through all of the new members, and that's commitment to community. And George has, over the years, shown his commitment in his professionalism as a professional barber, and his location is directly across the street from Melrose Library, where our garden is. And he and his group have put on several fundraisers, nonprofit or for free, for barber shops, for haircuts, kids going back to school. So he's very active in the community. He's also a mentor for a lot of young barbers, and now he's a teacher at Baytech Technical Center as a barber, where he's still influencing young students in the area of barbering, as well as interacting with other people. So I'm proud to introduce George Harrington to the club.
Thank you, Bert. George, let me give this little gift to you, Jim. Tony, I know you put those to good use. Ollie, you can't write grants with those gloves on, but you can give it a try. Linda, there's a pair of work gloves for you. Now, why am I giving you work gloves? Because we work in Kiwanis, and we're going to work you to the bone on service projects and good things that we do. We got you. You received a thorough orientation about the history of our Kiwanis Club and about the expectations we have of you as new members and members, and we want to welcome you. But the gloves symbolize many things. When you put your little finger in the gloves, I want you to think about the big things that we do for our community through our service projects. And our ring finger signifies the circle of friends that you're going to make, other fellow travelers, if you will, when you participate in our activities and come to our luncheons. Our middle finger stands above the other fingers on our hand because it's not the Rotarians, it's not the Lions, it's not the Civitans, it's the Kiwanians that stand above the others. And that's what I want you to think about. Our index finger points the way to better community through our service projects. And when we finish those service projects, we like to give a thumbs up. Jim Randalls, is that right? Yes, sir. So think about that with these work gloves. We welcome you to the Kiwanis Club of Roanoke. I've got some packets I'm going to give you in just a second that has a new member badge, your Kiwanis pin that we hope you'll wear regularly. Also has a directory of our membership. So we welcome you to the Kiwanis Club of Roanoke. Let's all stand and put our fingers and hands together and welcome George and Jim and Tony and Ollie and Linda. Welcome. There you go. We'll give this to you. Welcome, Ollie. Good to see you back, man. All right. Tony, welcome. Thank you, Trace.
Did he go? Yeah. Let's thank you all. We're very happy to have you as part of our family. And we hope that you will know you've made the right decision as the months go by. So, welcome. Now, I'd like to call John Montgomery to the mic to tell you about membership.
This is the day to talk about membership, isn't it? You got a full room, 11 people up here at the top. I'm not surprised Don joined when 7 other members joined. I think they heard Don was joining, and that was just inspiration for others to join him at the podium. You know, in the interest of time, I'm going to make this shorter than normal because we still have some other business to take care of before our program, and we want to give everyone time. Let me just say that it's meetings like today that make me proud of this club. It makes me proud to talk to people in the community about what an organization we have. And what is it that inspires me? Well, it might be the introduction of guests, which I told Pegram there's no one that could do that as well as he did. Although next week, someone probably will. It was the introspection that JC nailed, and it was so inspiring. It was the induction of the members. Everyone did a beautiful job telling us who the people are. I'm really proud to be in this room. I hope you are too. And I hope as you go about your day after lunch with a spring in your step after you hear our inspiring words from our speaker, that you want to invite someone to come next week. And let's see if we can get a few more people in this room. Thank you.
Grant. Randy, would you please come forward to present our grants? Oh, they're coming up too. Come on. Good.
Oh, great. Okay, thank you very much. It's a great afternoon. We have 3 grants to give out today, and so am not this is better. Larry is going to introduce the people from Mill Mountain Theater. Larry.
Well, I'm Larry Kufel, and I'm the business manager at Mill Mountain Theater. And up here with me is Matt Shields, our managing director. And he's just completed his first year, and he's been very, very successful. And we haven't missed a beat since Ginger left. Got Suzanne Creswell, our director of development, and she's had a very successful year and has made her impact on Mill Mountain Theater and as well as the community. Okay. Most of you know we are a live professional theater that entertains the Southwest region of Virginia and beyond with our musicals and dramatic productions. Mill Mountain Theater is also an educator in theatrical artistry through our conservatory programs for ages that range from 3 to 92. And John, I know you just turned 93, but we'll make an exception if you're interested. As a matter of fact, we have an improv class that is sold out with all adults, and I think that's a first. Mill Mountain Theater has been around since 1964 due to the support from organizations like the Kiwanis Club of Roanoke. We are grateful for the grant being presented to Mill Mountain Theater today, but we are also grateful for our long-running partnership with you all, and that extends to the support you've given Mill Mountain Theater by attending our productions and the generous individual donations from many of you in this room and on Zoom. We couldn't survive without your help and support. We thank you very much. Now, Suzanne, our Director of Development, will tell you how we're going to spend this money in our conservatory program. Thanks.
Thank you, Larry. I'll be very brief. I just wanted to give you some numbers from 2025 and then tell you a little bit about what we're doing for 2026. So in 2025, we had 12,731 children and families attend our Young Audience Series. That is exactly what you all support is our Young Audience Series. Our whole basis for the Young Audience Series and for our community tours is to get children interested in reading. And through that, we have distributed 507 books in 2025. We did 80 performances of The Rainbow Fish and Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus. I hope you got to see it. They were both fantastic. 20% of those performances were free to the public, and that was because of your support. So again, in 2026, we will be doing our community tours over the summer and next fall. This summer, we're doing Pete the Cat, and in the fall, we are doing Curious George, the golden meatball. So if you have young people that you would like to bring to see the show, they are so fun. We would love to have you. We love having the support of the Kiwanians. We love seeing you at the shows, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Larry. Next is going to be Lois, who will introduce Huddle Up Moms.
Hi, it is so awesome to see such a full room of awesome people today. So it's good to see everybody. I'm very excited to have been the sponsor for Huddle Up Moms, but I'm going to let Dr. Jacqueline tell you exactly what they're doing, all the awesome things they're doing for our community. So I'm going to turn it over to her.
Last time I spoke here, I think too, I was just off call. So I am recovering from a call for 24 hours. That was a little nutty. So I was just going to say good evening. I'm well aware it's not time. Um, so good afternoon. On behalf of Huddle Up Moms, and this is Emily McCorkle. She's our director of operations and really the glue that kind of holds us together. So I wanted to bring her up here. Before I start, I really wanted to say thank you to all of y'all. Every time I've come here in the past, I was a guest of Dr. Hartman a couple years ago and was just so inspired. And kind of we set a goal of receiving one of your grants in the future. So it feels very full circle and meaningful for us to be here and for Lois, who's been a huge supporter of Huddle Up Moms. I want to express our deepest gratitude for the Kiwanis Club for this incredibly meaningful award. The Kiwanis mission of improving the lives of children is not only something that you say, I feel it every single time. And because of you all, babies in our community will sleep safer. This generous award will allow more than 30 safe sleep bundles. That means 30 babies in this community will go home with a safe sleep environment, not only with that, but with education, reassurance, support in one of the most vulnerable times of their lives. As an OBGYN, many of you know that about me, but I see families in the beginning of their journey and the joy of life. But last time I spoke here, I spoke about maternity deserts, which is when hospitals close. Over the last 6 weeks, we've seen two more hospitals in our area close. Farmville just closed their maternity ward, and Greenbrier closed over the holiday. And as somebody who took a lot of holiday call, boy, did we feel that. And so the need is growing and expanding, and the work that we're doing is more acutely just brought to us more and more vulnerable women and families in this community. Safe sleep is one of the most powerful and preventable areas. And each year, thousands of babies die from sleep related causes, from mothers who are unhoused to families that just don't have reliable sources. This sleep practice, when combined with education, um, can prevent these really truly preventable deaths. In Roanoke, and now in Southwest Virginia, more than half the families struggle with diaper poverty. That's something that we spoke about last time. And so there is a higher risk of things like mental health, barriers to childcare, unsafe sleep practices. When parents don't have enough and they're worried about housing and right where their babies are going to sleep, um, we really truly harm our communities if we're not taking care of families the way they need to be taken care of. And that's exactly where y'all step in. These safe sleep bundles don't just provide equipment, they restore dignity. They allow us to have a trauma informed and respectful conversation that tells mom all over Southwest Virginia, you matter, your baby matters, and your community has your back. Each bundle has a safe sleep option. It gives caregivers a greater peace of mind, and it also is a beautiful step in preventing tragedy. Thank you so much to the Kiwanis Club for investing in families always, every day. I love the glove analogy where I'm going to have to steal that with some of my students. and some of our volunteers who truly make this happen. We're an all volunteer organization, and we're now, thanks to the generous community, open every single day in our new space. Because of you in this room, there will be at least 30 babies that will sleep safer over the next couple of months, and we really, truly can't thank you enough.
Okay, late yesterday, Nicole Jennings from the Presbyterian Community Center called and said that she had a very severe case of the flu. I thanked her for not coming today, and she asked if Pegram would speak for her. So here's Pegram.
All right, wise choice. For those of you who don't know, the Presbyterian Community Center is located at the intersection of 13th Street and Jamison Avenue Southeast. I'm sure loads of you have driven by. It's got painted balloons on the building or whatever, but that's the old building. They're in the process actually of moving into a new building right behind that. The Presbyterian Community Center is a 501c3 nonprofit providing assistance to low-income, at-risk families and children. Established in 1967 to attend to the basic human needs of the residents of economically challenged Southeast Roanoke. The PCC today continues to provide services principally to residents of Southeast Roanoke. Our grant will be used for a program called Pathways for Youth. Pathways for Youth is an after-school program founded in 1997 to address the extremely low rate at which students residing in Southeast Roanoke graduate from high school. Pathways for Youth serves at-risk students in grades 1 through 12 and their families, providing students with healthy choices instruction, tutoring, homework assistance, extracurricular opportunities, and community service activities to encourage graduation from high school. These are some remarks that Nicole sent to me that she would normally be reading. She says, "We are incredibly grateful for Kiwanis' generous donation, which has provided meaningful enrichment opportunities for our students. These funds support educational field trips and life skills, as well as our monthly Pathways parent meetings," which is great. They get the parents involved every month and help them too. These meetings connect families with critical resources and offer opportunities that help stabilize and strengthen the entire household. Currently, Pathways is serving over 38 students and 72 family members. And in November 2025, we proudly moved into our new facility. This expansion allows us to serve even more families and deepen our impact in the community. We deeply appreciate Kiwanis' continued support and recognition of the value the Pathways for Youth program brings to our community. Because of supporters like you, we are proud to share that Pathways has maintained a 100% graduation rate since 2009. Thank you. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Randy, presenting our grants. Now I'd like to bring Mike Bell up to talk about bell ringing for the Salvation Army.
Good afternoon. On behalf of Ken Briggs, I want to thank everyone who volunteered to ring bells across the street in front of Center Square during the Dickens of a Christmas. I looked on the Salvation Army's website this morning, and they have a number of ways that you can give, but I did not see where you could sign up to ring the bell. So this is a real privilege that we get to do as Kiwanians here in Roanoke. We collected over 3 nights, well, actually 2 nights, just shy of $1,800, bringing our total over the past 18 years to $25,000 that we've collected. And I did see on the Salvation Army's website this morning that this holiday season that they assisted nearly 2.5 million people with holiday meals and assistance so that they could provide toys and gifts to their loved ones. So, if you don't mind just standing up briefly while I call your name, and again, thank you so much for helping us out. We had Bill Bestbitch, John Pendleton, Will Dibbling, Bob Rutherford, Betsy and Chris Bohannon. Oh, yeah, don't make me twist your arm. We have Reef Kessler, Chris Woodrum, Ken Briggs, Chris Rouse, Bruce Swanson, Frank Rogan, Joe and Sally Limmer, Mike and Beth Obraka, Preston and Shauna Tyler, David and Margarita Bowers, John and Joyce Montgomery, Rupert Cutler, Brenda McDaniel, me and my wife Tiffany, Joe and Sally again, and then Ben and Beth Spiker. And then we also had Lieutenant Hodges, Ken Briggs, and from the Action Club, Jeff Schweiger, JJ Harper, and Robbie Hairston. And also need to thank Kara Marciniak, who's the CEO of Center in the Square, for letting us do it on the corner there and letting us store the kettle and the bells and all our supplies for the bell ring. So appreciate all the help.
Okay, I'm going to run through the announcements. On the calendar, there is a SLP meeting today, but I don't see Chris, so I'm not sure that's happening. Outreach, Mike, is that you? You're meeting today. Outreach is meeting today at 1:45. Tomorrow, there will be a Zoom meeting on scholarships. I think oh, there you are. I should left. And tomorrow night, we will have the hockey game with the Rail Yard Dogs. We have an officers meeting at 10:30 tomorrow at Raleigh Court Presbyterian Church. We have a board meeting Monday at 12:15 at the Western Virginia Water Authority. And this Saturday, Habitat Restore Spruce Up Project is going on. And if you have any questions, Jeff is the man to see. Now, brag bucks. I have our birthday boy to give a brag buck. And then there's two people who asked that they do it really quick. I mean, they got to be short. Then we can try to push them in.
I appreciate this opportunity to speak to you all. As much as I usually shy away from the podium up here, and I'll try not to do as much as JC did on expounding, or the other people that are in this room. It's obvious that I'm being replaced by a whole bunch of new, very capable members. And I appreciate them all and hope they all serve the 57 years that I was on the board. Now, the president, Madam President, identified my wife as being here, Matilda, and of the 75 years that I served, not a year did she not back me to the hilt. She's done wonderfully for Kiwanis Club, though she didn't have a badge. Now, John Montgomery accused me of having founded the birthday award to the foundation. Now, you all know that the Kiwanis Foundation is the agent for collecting for that. So today, John Montgomery reminded me that I was the president when we put together the birthday award for the foundation, which essentially said that for every year, you need to give the foundation $1. But unfortunately, I never thought of the part that I would have to be up here and giving John a check for $93.
Okay, really, really fast. But I'm doing this in honor because Huddle Up Moms is here today. So I thought it was appropriate to do my brag on our diaper drive, if you remember me doing that a couple months ago. And so when I announced it, and asked for donations. I hadn't even made it back to my seat before Bob Haberman gave me a donation. And then Reef Kessler and Don Witt both came by my house with diapers and wipes. Dave Farnham had to bring his Jeep because he had so many packs in the back of his car, he couldn't bring them to this. So Dave Farnham, awesome. Sherry Hartman was huge. Had a playpen set up on her porch and people donated there. So Kathy Cohen did there. And your friend Dina, 3,000 diapers alone from one person. So we had a goal. We blew that goal out of the water. I think we came in second in the diaper drive. Well, so we did great with our diaper drive. So I just wanted to say thank you to Huddle Up Moms.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is David Perry. Happy New Year and all that. If everybody would look in the center of your table, you've got one of these brochures that's got some smiling folks in a shawl and a blue-footed booby, the bird there on the front of it. The Blue Ridge Land Conservancy is taking a trip to Ecuador in August of 2027. This is the first time we're ever doing this. It's a 15-day trip to Ecuador in South America. It's not your typical trip to Ecuador that you can take through maybe other organizations where you're going to go and be, boated out real quick to the Galapagos and boated back and sent here and sent there to all the tourist destinations. This is going to be a behind the scenes trip to Ecuador. We have two local guides, Renee Goddard, who is a Holland University biology professor, who is one of the co-leaders on the trip. She takes her students to Ecuador every winter. In fact, right now in January. And then Alex Bentley, who is a Salem native, who runs a research institute in Ecuador with his wife. They're going to be our trip leaders. And we will be going from the coast of Ecuador on the Pacific Ocean, where it'll be nice and warm, up into the Andes Mountains, where it'll be a considerable bit colder, and then down into the Amazonian rainforest on the other side of the Andes Mountains, where it will be maybe not any warmer than on the coast, but it'll be wet constantly, raining all the time. But it's a rainforest. You're going to eat well, you're going to sleep well. Don't worry about that. But you're not going to do the typical tourist things. You're going to interact with the people that live there in Ecuador a great deal. You're going to do research there, helping the students, helping other people study the birds and the bats and the insects and the reptiles and amphibians that live in the rainforest. It's going to be very educational. It's going to be different than anything else you've ever experienced. And you've got everything you need to know to get started right here in this brochure, including who to call for more information. So please come out August of 2027. It'll be a hoot, and we'll see you then. Thank you.
Now I'd like to call Reef Kessler up to introduce our program.
Good afternoon. Good to see you all here again. We're running a little behind, so I'll discard my humorous introduction. It had something to do with celebrating the holidays, though, and my consumption of mincemeat pie, fruit cake, sugar cookies, and so forth. I saw something within the past week that said, referable to JC's comments, about resolutions for the new year, that said that about 50% of resolutions dealt with eating better, eating less, or exercising more. So I thought it would be a good way to start the year by having someone talk to us. I expect some of you are in the same situation as me, about about nutrition for adults to help us get through this coming year. So with that brief introduction, it's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Troy Muller. He has been in Roanoke for about 20 years, having grown up in Florida and received his education there at FIU. He has pursued in the Roanoke Valley two significant endeavors. One, his profession as a dietitian associated with Carilion, and the second as a minister with the
Bedrock Roanoke Church, a active organization here in the Valley. So with that brief introduction, here is Troy to tell us how we can live better.
All right, Reef, I appreciate that introduction. Happy New Year. Glad to be here today, and I'm here to support all of your New Year's resolutions. So as you think about navigating the holidays, I'm sure you found it difficult if you were trying to kind of do the right thing. But let's be honest, eating is one of the pleasures of life, right? Do you guys like food? I love food. So eating is one of the pleasures of life, and we can't expect that we're going to do the right thing all of the time. But I think one of the keys is the 80-20 rule. Most people do what's wrong 80% of the time with regard to eating and health, and what's right only 20% of the time. And if we could just turn that around, I think we'd be doing pretty well. So when you think about health and wellness, the key is the habits that you keep, the general trajectory of your life. To say on a holiday that you're not going to have cake or your sugar cookies is ridiculous, right? We need to have those treats because we want quality of life, and part of our quality of life is connected to the enjoyment of eating. So we're going to look at three things. If you want to be healthy, there are three main focuses: weight, exercise, and diet. And I want to talk a little bit about all of those things. So let's begin by talking a little bit about weight. Here are some shocking statistics. 72% of Americans are overweight by medical standards, and approximately 40% of those fall into one of the obesity categories. And weight plays a radical role in all the important numbers: your blood pressure, your cholesterol, even blood sugar can be impacted by weight. When you develop especially truncal weight or weight around the midsection, that can create insulin resistance and begin to move the body in the direction of prediabetes and eventually even diabetes. We have also come to find that extra weight is not merely luggage along for the ride through life. It turns out that that tissue is actually interacting with the bloodstream and releasing pro-inflammatory things into the bloodstream. So carrying a lot of extra weight can create a low-grade systemic inflammation throughout the body, and it can even impact your overall risk of cancer. So to kind of put it in a nutshell, the most important thing most Americans can do is to lose some weight. That will more positively impact all of your numbers than anything else you can do. Now, the medical community currently uses something called body mass index to evaluate where people are at weight for height. And there's a normal range. You see that there, 18.5 to 24.9. That range takes into account body skeletal frame size. You can tell by looking at me that I'm a small boned man, so I belong on the bottom end of that range. If I was 6'2" with huge hands and feet and big thick bones, I would get the top end of that range. Now, a lot of times people will say, I'm overweight, but I'm big boned. Well, there is such a thing as big boned, but there is an appropriate weight even for big bone people. And so once your body mass index goes above that 24.9, there's an overweight category as well as three classes of what we call obesity. Now, what's interesting is fairly recently, we've adjusted this for people 65 and older. Actually, physicians are okay if your body mass index is 23 to 30 if you're 65 or older. And one of the reasons for that is that as you increase in age, the likelihood of a major medical event increases, and it's kind of cushion for the punch. If you are, at the lower end of the ideal body weight range and you have a major medical event and lose 15 or 20 pounds, that can be extremely debilitating. So there is a little bit of a broader range after 65. Now, the way you calculate body mass index is a simple math problem. You take your weight in pounds times 703, divide that number by your height in inches, and then take that number and again divide by your height in inches. So if you want to calculate your body mass index, that's the way you do it. Weight in pounds times 703, divide that by height in inches, and then divide again by height in inches. Now, Americans spend on average of about $65 billion a year trying to lose weight, and most of them are not successful. And that's because it comes down to things that require diligence, discipline, and self-control. And guess what? That's something I can't give you. If I could put it in pill form, I would be the first trillionaire, not Elon Musk. So what it comes down to is those three things, because beyond some hormone implications like thyroid, insulin, male-female hormone balance, after that, weight is basically a math problem. It has to do with the calories that you're taking in via eating and drinking and the calories expended by physical movement. If you're taking in more than you're burning, you're gaining weight. If your weight is stable, what you're taking in is pretty much what you're burning. In order to lose weight, you have to create a calorie deficit. So the first key thing there is smaller portions. Now that seems like it's not rocket science, right? It's basic common sense. We have portion distortion in this country. Everything, we try to supersize it. We want to get the most for our money. We go to buffets and we eat way, way too much. Our portions are way too large. If you go to K&W and ask for a serving of mashed potatoes, they will give you a half cup monkey dish. Take a half cup scoop and put a scoop of mashed potatoes and put it on your tray. Now there you would eat that and you wouldn't say anything about it, but at home you would serve yourself 3 to 4 times that amount. And when you supersize portions, you supersize your body. It's really that simple. So you got to shrink your portions if you're going to create that calorie deficit. And then the second thing is smarter food choices. Making smarter food choices can also lower overall calorie intake. For instance, Heiner's makes a 35 calorie bread. Most bread is 80 calories a slice. So if you buy the Heiner's 35 calorie bread, you still have a slice of bread, but you've decreased it by over half. There's, tub and margarine type products that are lower fat, lower calorie as well, that have about half of what you'd find in a normal product. So whenever you make switches like that, or even going from whole milk to skim milk, a cup of whole milk has 150 calories, a cup of skim milk only has 90. So you've reduced calories significantly. You've dropped saturated animal fat intake and cholesterol by making that smarter choice as well, potentially positively impacting your lipid profile. And then, of course, those first two things are on the front end of the equation, what's coming into your body. The third thing, exercise, is what's coming out as far as calories burned, more physical movement. So you see there that successful weight loss is considered losing at least 5 to 10% of your current weight and keeping it off for 5 years. Now, that's something that a lot of people struggle with. There's a lot of yo-yo dieting going on. And let me say this about that. It's better not to lose anything than it is to lose it and regain it, lose it and regain it. Not sure what that was, but all right. So medical science says merely a 5 to 10% weight loss can bring pretty radically significant positive medical outcomes going forward. So a lot of times people fall into the all or nothing fallacy. If I can't get to my ideal weight, why am I even doing this? Well, the simple answer is medical science says a 5 to 10% sustained weight loss is medically significant for all health outcomes moving forward. And with some modest lifestyle changes, most people can accomplish a 5 to 10% weight loss and see positive impact in their blood pressure numbers, their cholesterol numbers, their blood sugar numbers, and even a lot of the inflammatory markers can be positively improved by that weight loss. The danger of yo-yo dieting, I already said a little bit about that, but what happens is when you lose a significant amount of weight, a small portion of that weight loss is muscle tissue. And when you gain the weight back, typically it's all fat. So now you end up having a higher percentage of body fat than when you started the diet. And that negatively impacts your basal metabolic rate. So in other words, every time you yo-yo down and yo-yo back up, you're basically damaging your metabolism. You've decreased your lean body mass, increased your overall body fat percentage. So dieting is definitely a no-no. What you're looking at is realistic and sustainable lifestyle changes. That's what you got to be after. All right. So as far as exercise goes, we recommend 3 different areas: stretching, of course, to prevent injury. And then this is a big one, cardiovascular exercise. And that is defined as anything that's going to elevate your heart rate, ideally to a target number. And you see what the target heart rate is there, 220 minus your age times 0.75 to 0.80. That will give you a pretty good bottom end target heart rate for you to be exercising at, as long as you're medically cleared to pursue a cardiovascular exercise program. And you should be pursuing cardiovascular exercise 120 to 150 minutes a week. And then beyond the cardiovascular exercise is resistance training. And that's an important piece, because when you're losing weight, you want to make sure that you keep as much muscle tissue on your body as you can. And muscle is one of those things, it's either use it or lose it. So combining some resistance training, which is, weights or machines or exercise bands, alongside of a cardiovascular program, can help make sure all the muscle groups of the body are being targeted. And that helps retain lean body mass when you're losing weight. And that should be done 2 to 3 times a week, 1 exercise per muscle, 3 sets, 10 to 15 repetitions. So that's a basic good exercise program. And a lot of times patients will ask me, what's the best form of exercise? And, swimming is probably the top of the forms of exercise because it hits all the muscle groups. But here's the thing. The secret to success for you is basically 2 things. Number 1, find something that you enjoy that's not torture. If going to the gym is torture, you are not going to go. All right. And number 2, find somebody to do it with, so that there's a social component, so that there's accountability and a fellowship piece to it. So if you can find something you actually enjoy doing and find someone to do it with, you'll make pretty good progress on an exercise journey. All right, so we've talked about weight, we've talked a little bit about exercise. Now let's talk about the eating piece. And again, this is not rocket science, it's actually just common sense. There are some main food groups that you need to be thinking about if you want to eat well and get all the necessary nutrients. There are some 30 nutrients that your body needs on somewhat of a regular basis. And in order to get those nutrients, you need about 3 servings a day of whole grain or multigrain. And you can see there what a serving is. And the benefit of whole grain, of course, is fiber, vitamins, and minerals. The more fiber you take in, the fuller you feel because there's more bulk moving through the digestive system. You're supposed to get about 20 to 30 grams of fiber a day, depending on your body weight and your frame size. And eating whole grains and fruits and vegetables are the key to getting that amount of fiber. So you need 3 servings of whole grains, 2 servings of fruit, and 3 servings of vegetables a day. Now, a serving is not large. Like for a piece of fruit, it's the size of a tennis ball. That's about a cup. For vegetables, it's a half cup cooked, 1 cup raw as a serving. And the more color and variety in your fruits and vegetables, the better. As a matter of fact, variety is one of the keys to optimal nutrition because each food item has different vitamins, minerals, different types of fiber, different phytochemicals, antioxidants, different amino acids. So the more variety in your diet, the better the overall nutrition that's actually coming into your body. So whole grains, fruits, and vegetables. Protein is an important piece. And I increasingly find patients that don't get enough protein in their diet. They eat tons of carbs, a lot of processed carbs, a lot of sugary treats like Little Debbie cakes and whatnot, but they're not getting enough protein. Protein is the building block of the human body. Your hair, your skin, your nails, your muscles, your organs, all of that is protein. And every day your body is growing things like your hair and your nails. And all of the soft tissue of your body is turned over about every 7 years. So the body is constantly rebuilding and repairing, and protein is pivotal in that. So you need somewhere between 6 to 10 ounces of protein per day, and ideally coming from lean sources like lean meats, fish, white meat, skinless poultry, non-fat or low-fat dairy. Now, the dairy, 2 to 3 servings a day to try to make sure you're getting adequate calcium intake, especially for the ladies. And a lot of times people don't realize that fat is a necessary nutrient as well. In our culture, we have this idea that fat is bad. Fat is a necessary nutrient. It's necessary for healthy skin, healthy hair, the storage and transport of all your fat soluble vitamins like A and E. And you need essential fatty acids for hormone production in your body. But the key is ideally plant fats like olive oil and avocados and nuts and seeds, and being careful with the amount of animal fat that you're taking in, because that often comes alongside of cholesterol, and saturated animal fat intake can negatively impact your lipid profile. So you do need about 4 servings a day of appropriate fat sources to meet your essential fatty acid needs for your body. Now, there's something called trans fat, and that's a man-made saturated fat. They basically take a plant fat like soybean oil and they add hydrogen to it. And the reason they add hydrogen is it stabilizes the oil and improves the shelf life. And it also enhances the smooth, creamy taste and texture of things when they add hydrogen to the oil. But what it does is it saturates the oil and makes it into a very unheart healthy fat. It's found in commercially prepared baked goods like Little Debbie cakes. It's found in a lot of crackers like graham crackers and saltines and Ritz crackers. It's also found in a lot of commercial peanut butter, and it is also the main fry oil in most fast food restaurants. And if you have an abnormal lipid profile, your cholesterol is elevated, that's something you definitely want to try to avoid as much as possible, as your trans fats or your hydrogenated oils. The best place to get your fats is monounsaturated fats, which is like olive oil, canola oil, peanut oil, avocados, avocado oil, nuts and seeds. And another great place to get some good fat would be fatty fish like sardines and wild caught salmon. Your polyunsaturated fats are kind of heart neutral. And we're increasingly finding that a lot of the seed oils, there's some pro-inflammatory impact. You want oils that are cold pressed oils, and ideally not necessarily seed oils. Those would be a better choice. Omega-3 fats, we've talked a little bit about that. Ground flaxseed can be added like to yogurt or oatmeal. That's a great source of omega-3 fatty acids. The tan English walnuts, another great source, and then those fatty fish that I mentioned. And an intake of these omega-3 fatty acids can help lower your bad cholesterol, that's your LDL, and actually improve your HDL, that's the good cholesterol. Already mentioned fiber, 20 to 35 grams a day. Fiber can help prevent colon cancer. It can help improve blood sugar control. When you eat carbohydrates that are simple carbohydrates, blood sugar spikes. When you eat more complex, fiber-dense carbohydrates, that slows the digestion and entry of the carb into the system and doesn't spike the blood sugar as much. So that's where the whole grain, multi-grain approach comes in. Fiber intake is important for regular normal bowel movements and intestinal health. It helps create the right environment for the microbiome in your gut to be where it needs to be. A lot of people get very little fiber intake. Most people below 15 grams a day, and that's definitely not good for gut health. And it doesn't help you with satiety. Remember what I said, the more fiber you take in, the fuller you will feel. So fiber is an important aspect. Now, I'm sure you're familiar with the food label. That's actually the older food label. And there's some basic things to take a look at. If your lipid profile is not where you want it to be, in other words, your cholesterol is elevated or the bad cholesterol, you see the saturated fat there, it says 2 grams. The rule is not more than 1 gram of saturated fat for every 100 calories. So notice the calories are 230. So in this product, we'd be allowed 2.3 grams of saturated fat. And notice the trans fat is 0. You see that? You want that always to be 0, but do take note that if it's 0.5 grams of trans fat or less, legally they can round down to 0. So you not only want to look at the 0 there, you want to look at the ingredients, find your fat or your oil, and if it says partially or fully hydrogenated, it's not a true 0. It's only a legal 0. You want it to be a true 0. If you're looking for a lower sodium food item, less than 200 milligrams per serving, and those are the protein recommendations, 0.8 to 2 grams per kilogram ideal body weight. That upper end is for people who are doing resistance training or heavily engaged in athletic activity. The bottom end is for the person who's just kind of run-of-the-mill person who's just maybe has a walking program or something like that. This is the new food label, and I wanted you to see the comparison between the two. Notice the serving size has been highlighted and made bold because most people eat way more than what is an appropriate serving size. So they've highlighted the serving size to help you understand what is considered a reasonable serving for this food item. Notice they have also made the calories bold so you can see what kind of calories you're getting into. And again, if you're trying to lose weight, 500 less calories a day than your current average will net you 1 pound of weight loss a week. So here's something to think about. If you download an app to your phone like MyFitnessPal, change nothing for a week, just eat normal and record what you're eating in MyFitnessPal. At the end of the week, you'll have 7 totals. Add those numbers together and divide by 7. That's your average daily calorie intake. If you subtract 500 from that and make that your new calorie ceiling, you will lose 1 pound a week. And if you implement a good solid exercise program, you can expect to potentially lose up to 2 pounds a week. So the calories are an important thing to know about. And notice under total carbohydrates, if you go down, you see total sugars and added sugars. Do you see that? Added sugars are man-made processed sugar. So if you were eating something like Raisin Bran, raisins have natural sugar in them. So the total sugar would include the sugar found in the raisins. Now, if you eat Kellogg's Raisin Bran, they roll their raisins in sugar before they put it in the cereal. So now there's some added sugars. Now, there is a rule for added sugars. It's 36 grams a day or less for men and 25 grams a day or less for women. So they've kind of teased that out to try to encourage our populace to begin to avoid or limit the amount of added sugar that you're taking in. So usually the saturated fat, the trans fat, the sodium, and the sugar are the main focal points outside of the calories and the serving size as you're looking at a food label. So to kind of wrap it all up, if you want to approach health and wellness for the new year, if that's one of your New Year's resolutions, think of these 3 things. Where's my weight at for my height? And can I at least achieve a 5 to 10% weight loss? That'll go further than anything else you can possibly do to improve all your numbers. If you are not exercising, like I sit all day and talk to patients, I get very few steps at work. So I have to be very intentional with regard to my exercise program. So developing a good, solid exercise program is important. A lot of times I get patients that say to me, I'm just too tired when I get home. And I ask them, do you dig ditches for a living? If you do, then you have a reason to be tired. Most people are emotionally and mentally tired. That has nothing to do with your physicality. Most of the time, if you will make yourself go ahead and exercise, you will be invigorated by that. You will feel better. You will have a more productive evening if you just realize, I'm only tired mentally and emotionally. Physically, I haven't done much today. I need to burn some calories and get some steps. Most folks get less than 3,000 steps a day. The recommendation is at least 7,000 steps a day, ideally 10,000 steps. So weight, 5 to 10% weight loss, a good solid exercise program with cardio and resistance training, and then aiming at the appropriate eating plan where you're not completely excluding cake and cookies and fun things, but you're putting that into the 20% of the time and trying to make the good, smart, healthy choices with appropriate portions the other 80% of the time. If you can accomplish that, make small, attainable goals and just do things slowly over time, and you'll be surprised what you can accomplish. So I hope this has been helpful to you and that it will help you maybe achieve some of these resolutions that you've made. I do have some handouts here for anyone who's interested with the slides. And if you do have any questions, you can get my email address from Reef, and I'll be glad to try to answer any questions that you have personally with regard to where you're at. If you'd like to see me as a dietitian and sit down and actually look at your lab work and your lifestyle and try to come up with a new, healthier lifestyle plan, you can get a referral from your physician to see one of the Carillion dietitians to deal with, if it's blood pressure, cholesterol, weight, diabetes, whatever it is, we can sit down with you and help you come up with a good plan.
Sure. Stay up here, Troy. And Troy, would you be willing to answer some questions after the meeting or do you need to go?
No, I can do that. I was
Okay.
aware that we were short on time, so I didn't want to presume.
You're not presuming. We were glad to have you. Troy has asked for his honorarium to go to LEAP, which happens to be our speaker for next week, Maureen Best. There's your honorarium. Thank you. I don't want to shake your hand. Fake shake. We'll have a fake shake. You give it to them.
Well, I won't be able to be here.
Okay.
Yep.
Can you give it to them the next week?
Would that be your preference?
I'm taking care of business up here. Okay. I want to also thank all of our new members. Welcome aboard. And I'd like to thank all of our guests. It was fantastic to have this many guests. And you either leaving here today pumped up or depressed. So it's a good program to start the month off with. So thank you, and the meeting's adjourned.